Whether it be a garage, loft or shed, we all end up stowing away things that may not see the light of day for years. You know, one thing I've had for years is that mummified cat. It takes me back 50 years to when my father rediscovered a mummy in the Royal Cornwall Museum loft, and I wonder if they'd be interested in my cat. It was in fact my father that gave me this cat, but I never actually known whether it's a mummified cat or not. My father was an eminent Egyptologist, X-raying mummies around the world. So, 50 years on, I'm back at the Royal Cornwall Museum, armed with the cat from the attic, in the back of the old Moray Minor. I'm about to be reunited with the mummy that my father discovered. He's actually the main attraction of one of their latest exhibitions, Isaac Taoth Nacht.
We know a lot about him, so we've been able to talk about how people lived in ancient Egypt, how he lived, how ancient Egyptians lived, ancient Romans and ancient Greeks. And we can then look at the afterlife of the three civilizations, and then their beliefs, their home life, their language and writing, and how we study those ancient civilizations.
He came to Cornwall in the early 19th century, and research has shown he was a priest and craftsman.
He came as a gift from Jedediah Tucker Stevens of Tremanton Castle in about 1837-38. He'd acquired it, inherited him really from his father, who had acquired him through the consul Peter Lee in Alexandria, Egypt. And it was very fashionable in those days to have a mummy and to unwrap it, and often to do that as a social occasion.
I was aware that my father had discovered the unknown mummy, but I didn't realise quite how much work he had done, until Jane said she had some of my dad's research papers from his X-ray studies.
In those days, it was important to X-ray mummies, and a great deal of information was found. And while I was researching for this, because I was looking up the name Gray, and I came across some papers, and I just wondered whether this was your father, because this is one of the most important reports we've got on our unwrapped mummy.
Let's have a
It's
look.
in the Journal of Egyptology Archaeology, volume 56, 1970.
Yes,
Is that him?
it's my
Amazing, isn't
dad.
it? Well,
Well, tell me about this report. What did he
this
say?
is a really useful report. He basically he covers the original unwrapping, and he says that the mummy was so beautifully preserved and mummified, almost like in the condition of a pharaoh. Absolutely
Really?
beautiful, and had herbs on the forehead when he was unwrapped. He noticed the arthritis, which is why we think that Isaac Taoth Nacht died in old age, around the age of 65.
Because that would have been really very old, wouldn't it?
Yes, people lived to about an average of 35.
About how old is he?
He died in, we think, 675 BC. Again, it was partly your father's analysis, so it was the way he was mummified, as well as evidence on the outer coffin, which you can see over there. The teeth have been ground down and some are missing. So your father noticed that, and he noticed these probes, which failed to penetrate the skull. And that's interesting, because normally the brain was taken out through the nose with a metal hook. The brain is still there, so that's quite unusual.
So this is a book Jane's very kindly sort of found, and it mentions my late father here. There he is. P.H.K. Gray, 1913, 1984. Well done, Dad.
Well, it's got his father's name on the coffin. His father was called Amun-Hor, and his mother was called Tashesh.
Inspired by my father's work, I got Jane to show me round the exhibition before I introduced her to my cat from the attic.
The coffins not only protect the physical body of the mummy, but also the spirits, and help the deceased go through the afterlife and the judgment successfully. And here you have a picture of Isaac Taoth Nacht with Anubis and Nepti, and then underneath you have him on a boat, with Raharakati, the hawk-headed figure with the sun on top.
It's fascinating.
Isotep now is displayed in very good environmental conditions in the optimum display methods of the day, and we have a sort of tomb area for him, which allows the visitor to visit or not, as they may wish, because not everybody wants to view human remains. And also we have over the top, we invite the public to speak his name, because that means that in lieu of us having him on display, by speaking his name, he continues to exist in the afterlife.
Well, I was having a rummage around in the loft, and I found something that belonged to Dad, and here he is. And I don't know whether it would be of any interest to you.
Wow, look at that. What a super mummified cat. Cats in ancient Egypt, there were two types, and they were known as Bast, after the goddess Bastet, she of the ointment jar.
Do we really know if it is a mummy, and what should we do to find out more about it, do you think?
Well, I think you can look at the style, which looks later to me. I mean, just off the cuff, I think it might be Roman, you know, perhaps 1st century BC through to, say, 3rd, 4th century AD. Best thing would be to have it x-rayed, really.
Well, let's do that.
Yes, yes.
So off we go then to the local Clifton Villa vets to see what, if anything, lies beneath the bandages. Ancient Egyptians made offerings of mummified animals to the gods, but not all mummifiers were as honest as others. It is known that some merely wrapped bundles of rags to save time and make money. And x-raying, like my father did many years ago, is one way of finding what lies within. I've arranged another meeting with Jane, the curator at the Royal Cornwall Museum. Jane, I've got them.
Oh, Robert,
how nice to see you again. Look, I've got
great,
the
how
X-rays,
exciting.
so
yes, I
let's
can't wait to see
Shall
what's
we
in there.
have a look?
Oh yes, let's go and have a look. Come on.
Up in the library, the moment of truth. So this is a complete first. We have no idea what's in this, so go for it.
Great, how exciting. I wonder if you've got two x-rays, one or two.
I have no idea what's in it at all.
Because when I had the ibis x-rayed for here, we had one of the plane and one of the side, because obviously, you've got to see the bones. Oh, you have got something inside, haven't you?
We actually have got something inside.
I can see the skull at the top.
Yeah.
Just up here.
And it's actually in the head, isn't it? Because sometimes I thought it might all be crushed into the body.
Yes, it's actually in that sort of head that looks like a head
there is a skull in the head.
And you can see the leg bones here, can't you? Do you see?
You can indeed. And is the neck...
And would that be the upper legs?
Is the neck intact, or is it broken? Because I understood that if it was a broken neck, it was a sacrificial cat, and if it was an intact cat, it was somebody's precious, revered cat.
It looks as though the neck is intact.
It's somebody's very...
So it's a special cat. Isn't that super?
And also in the envelope, official confirmation. There's clear evidence of bones
within the mummified cat.
So what age do you think about?
Well, looking at the books just before, I think possibly the Roman period. You know, perhaps 1st century BC, 1st, 2nd, 3rd century AD, Roman period in Egypt.
So it is one of the oldest cats in Cornwall.
Yes, at the moment. Do you think your father would be pleased that you're following in his footsteps, having...
Well, yes, I think he was. I rather wish he was here, because he'd love all this. And he was the archetypal eccentric Egyptologist. And all the people you see on TV programmes who talk about Egyptology today, mainly a lot of them trained under Dad. The last couple of days have been quite a journey, retracing my father's footsteps in his quest to revealing the secrets of the ancient Egyptians.
Well, he x-rayed the mummies of museums, many museums in Britain and Europe, and wrote about them extensively. So he was, foremost in his field and a great Egyptologist, I think.
And in discovering what is now believed to be the oldest cat in Cornwall, you never know what you might find next time you're up in the attic. And if you'd like a closer look, I'm delighted to announce my cat in the attic will soon be on display at the Royal Cornwall Museum.